Good morning. Today is the 19th of February 2025 and I'm going to go over today's levels I'm watching. Before we start, let's look to see what news could move the market. And 8:30 we had building permits come in and we didn't see a great deal of movement from that. However, it might be a strange day because we do have FOMC minutes coming in at 2 PM today. So do be a bit wary. There's nothing else in between that then and now. So might see a strange moving day. Right, so let's get my pen. So on my screen we're looking at the ES and we're looking at we'll start off with the daily and we'll just move down the time frame. You can see yesterday we had a bit of a increased volume, slightly bigger candle, nothing unusual, but into this area of overhead support. We came perfectly into that, and we talked about that yesterday, so keep an eye on that area for potential rejection. If we lose that area and break through it, then we can watch for the break and retest long, but we didn't really get to that point. So let's just drop down to volume, a little bit of increased volume, but with a bottom tail candle. So at one point that was a red candle showing a bit of weakness up here, and then we pulled it back at the end of the day, but we're starting to give that back yesterday. But it was compared to the previous days, compared to that candle there, it's quite a small range in day. So just be a bit wary today. It is an inside day. And what I mean by that is that we are inside the previous day's candles, and it does make trading quite tricky. So let's drop down to the 1 hour and find some levels. We've got some zones marked up. These are my supply and demand zones. And you can see yesterday we've been watching this area of overhead supply. We came into it in the pre-market and we came back down and then pushed back up during market hours, and look at that, we rejected it in the aftermarket as well. So this is an area to watch pre-market high. So I'm going to keep an eye on that pre-market high area for another rejection. 61.54 area. What I want to see it do, I want to see it come into that region, come back out and then retest it. In fact, you can see an excellent example of this in the pre-market. Pushed into that region, we came out, we retested it there, and if you missed that, we retested it there. And you can see several entries. Nothing I would have taken. It's only trade market hours. Let's just drop down to the 15 and see. I've not reviewed my trades from yesterday. I didn't have a very good day yesterday. I tried a couple of bounces and I tried a couple of shorts and it just went against me. It was a very tough day. Look at this, we had this bear flag here. At one point I was long down here, I think I was, and I eventually got stopped out. Just one of those frustrating days. I didn't even trade to my plan as well. My plan was to wait until we got up into this region, which it did, and obviously watch for the rejection. But I was more bullish than bearish, so I was waiting for the break and retest of pre-market high, which never happened. And then I was watching for the break and retest of pre-market low, and that was quite a difficult one as well. I got stopped out of that as well. Okay, so today I'm going to stick to my plan. You can see these areas I put in already. Look at that pre-market low came into the area I'm watching. This is a big wide area, so we've got all the way down to an area of demand, but what I'm looking for is to come in. This is an area I'm watching, this is an area of confluence, maybe come into that one, do something like that, and then come out of that zone. They'll be watching that for a bounce. We are in a downtrend, so our hourly trend is a downtrend, as you can see, putting in lower highs and lower lows, so you know we've got to be wary of that. So level wise, let's go back to the hourly. I do quite like the bounce down here at 61.20 to 61.23 area. I like that because we've got this pivot here, previous area of supply. We retested that area a couple of times, retested it there as well. So if we get back down into that area, I'll be looking for a bounce. If we lose yesterday's low, we could potentially look for a break and retest short into the next area of demand. Pre-market low, even though it's in that area of demand, I do quite like the break and retest it to continue this hourly. We're not a confirmed downtrend. We need to break these pivots here to confirm the downtrend, but We can keep an eye on 61.30 for a break and retest. Hard trying to find a bounce really, even that bounce area. Otherwise, if we get back up into this region here, I'm watching for 2 plays at 61.54. I'm looking for a rejection back down like we just talked about, or if we break out, clear these pivots and get out of this zone, I'll be looking for a break and retest back into that area along 61.60 area. And I think that's probably what I'm watching. Yeah, I think that's the best bit. We just keep an eye on this area here. This is my 15-minute area of overhead supply. So that's an area we need to break through. So that's the area we want to watch, break and retest that area. I think that's it. Yeah, I can't see anything more. Let's just quickly address this trend. You can see we are in this uptrend as well, making it really difficult to, let's draw it back in again. Yeah, it's really difficult because obviously we haven't got any good pivots. The only pivots we've got is when we get back down into this region here. You can keep an eye on that area. There's our 6100. The reason I say keep an eye on that, we put in a bit of a area of demand as we pull back and then a big move up. And it is an area of confidence throughout. And we do start a little bit of the volume profile, this area here. And we've got the point of control at 60.80. So keep an eye on a bounce down in this region here. And obviously we can keep an eye on this region. We can keep an eye on this region as well. And that's 60.20, 60.70, but we're probably not going to get there today. It's something for this week. And I'm just going to stick with A+ setups today, because yesterday I didn't have any plan. Well, I did have a plan, but I didn't keep to it. I think I was just having I wasn't even trading properly. I was just having very small losses, so I didn't even lose the full. I think I lost about 1 hour in the end, but lots of quarter-hour losses where I only take 1 or 2 trades, and I only want to trade if it's a decent setup, and that was the only setup. And I think I had a bit of FOMO because I missed it. Then I missed the retest of the pre-market low as well, and I was trying to find a long, and you can see I got stopped out, a few little stops there. If I were to find an A+ setup, it's going to be back up into this region of overhead supply. Notice the lack of volume though. So there's 2 plays here to watch: break and retest long and the rejection. And I'll keep an eye on this area here for a bounce. And then we've got the pre-market low into that area for a bounce. We might be able to just scalp something out. Let's move on to SPY, and let's have a quick look at order flow quickly while we're on that subject. Good morning, Charles. You're welcome. Regards to pre-market update, I like to do this every day. Not only is it good just to say what I'm thinking out loud, but it sets my mind ready for the day, even though yesterday was a bad day. I wouldn't say a bad day, I meant it was a frustrating day because I think a few of my plays were in profit and I let them go against me. And but saying it out loud really helps, and I like to get it written down as well after I do this. Cumulative delta, price is coming down, cumulative delta is coming down, so no surprises there. Anything aligned? We do have a region on this 30 minutes. This is pre-market area though, up here. Potentially that's where there were bigger orders before. These are pre-market orders though, so nothing I really want to spend too much time looking at. But market hours is the important one, and there's nothing really aligned. Okay, in fact market hours is back up in that same area as well, so we keep an eye on this 61.50, 61.56 area potentially. And then there's no large orders, so I always like to see what large orders are sitting on the book, because that could potentially show us where a rejection point could be. But no, nothing unusual. The only thing I can see right now actually is, I know even cumulative delta is putting a low, higher low, higher low, low, higher low. So yeah, it's all looking normal, so I wouldn't get too excited about that just yet. Let's flick back to SPY. So SPY, we've got this area of demand 609, so keep an eye on that region. 608.50, 608.40 area for a potential bounce. It is a area of confluence. We've got bottoms and pivots here. We've got, let's just draw that line in as well. Oh, that's not a very good line at all. So let's keep an eye on that area there. So we've got the tops of this pivot here, got the bottoms of this pivot here as well. We kind of tested, come back and retested it in when was that, the end of January, and then we lost that zone. So yesterday was the first time we retested that area and we saw this big reaction. So let's see what happens when we get back down into that 608.40 area again on SPY. And then keep an eye on pre-market high, break and retest. We will be breaking and retesting if we can get over that pre-market level, which is currently the all-time high. We might be able to see some upward momentum. Otherwise, there's nothing really up there to watch for rejection, and I don't like to draw my demands, my supply zone in that area, purely because it's in pre-market hours, not when there's lack of volume. You can see the volume down here. There's not much volume at all. So SPX levels pretty much the same. We did put in a new all-time high yesterday, just about taking out that pivot. That must have been just at the end of the market when the market closed, I think it was. And we'll be opening up further down, so we'll be opening up about midway. So we've got these levels to watch for a bounce: 60.98, 6100 for the bounce. So if we're looking for a long, we don't want to be going short if we're coming into that area, and we can keep an eye on that. Exactly where we saw pivot bounce, area confluence just there as well, a retest, and we've got a little bit of volume coming in that area as well, not a great deal. NQ, okay, so what do we see here? I like to call it the Batman. This is the ears here and the wings, but it's also a head and shoulders pattern. Oh, I'm not sure my pen's not drawing. With the neckline, it's a funky neckline about there, and I do like this pattern. I like the break and retest of pre-market low, so I'm watching that today. If we break over the pre-market high, we got the breakout and retest. However, we can keep an eye on this 22,320 area. Is this all-time highs? Not quite, no, look at that. We've still got nowhere near all-time highs, but we have come into that area of 15-minute demand. And last time we were there, we had that big reaction, and then we came back up into it yesterday. We had a relatively big reaction. And we do have areas above as well, so we've got all-time highs up here, which I've marked off. And if I were to find an area of confluence, it's going to be that area there. So 23,380 to 22,380 to 22,400 is a rejection. Excuse me, a potential rejection area. So keep an eye on this region. We can watch for rejections, area confluence. So we're looking for confirmation with that. Otherwise, I'm looking for the break and retest a pre-market low. My first target will be down this 22,100 area. I miss a lot of these alerts. I miss a lot of these plays. I talk about them every day, but I don't put my alerts in, or if I do, sometimes I ignore the alerts. So this is the neckline. We want to keep an eye on that area there, break and retest. And that's it really for NQ. QQQ. Charles, yeah, so life does happen. In fact, I wasn't trading last week for the majority of it, and I was away. I was actually in the Czech Republic. I will be away again this time next week for a few days as well, as I'm skiing. But life does get in the way, and you just have to, trading should be second to your family and friends, and that's why I'm trying to focus a bit more time on being outside more, and being out in the, rather than sitting in front of computers all day. So this is QQQ. But anyway, yeah, so hopefully my trading's been quite bad over the last couple of weeks. I say bad, it's been more frustrating than bad, and I can quickly explain why I think that is, which I've put in my journal as well. If you go to the daily or the weekly, we can see quite clearly, and I think this is just normal for most traders. So we've got, I'll draw it in lines, we've got this movement up. This is like, so we've got phase 1 of the market, or phase 0, and then we've got that phase, and then we've got that phase, and then we've got that phase, and then we repeat. So all market does that. So that's, you know, it may not be going sideways, but that's what the market generally does. So we've got phase 0 here, phase 1, and potentially we're looking at phase 2. This phase here, the sideways phase, where you just get a lot of chop. It comes in, it comes up, it comes in, it comes up. It just does that, and then it, you know, eventually we catch up with the moving averages, and we catch up with itself, and then we start making either a new move back to phase 1, and we start pushing up, or we go back to phase 3, which is the, or could do phase 1, 2. My pen doesn't want to be working very well today. 1, 2. This is the 4 phases of the market, and right now we are in phase, that's phase 1 down here. This is phase 2, and then potentially this is phase 3. And phase 3 is always the choppy part. It chops around, it chops around, it chops around. And we've got the smart monies putting in, selling off. You know, this is a discount area down here, so all the smart monies buying stock, buying all their, you know, think of like a warehouse, they're buying all of their stock, and then this is where they start pushing it. They sell a little bit, and then they do the big selling up here, and then the market comes back down, ready for the discounters to come back again and re-top up again. They top up at discount value, discount prices, and then they start pushing it up, and then all the people with FOMO are like wishing, oh, I missed out this move, missed out this move. So then it puts in a new high, and then all the retail traders, you and I, we're like FOMOing, saying, oh, I'm going to get long now, you know, watched it move up, and then the market comes back down, and then they sell, they start selling because they can't take the pain of holding a losing position that long. So then the smart money or the big hedge funds get their discounted stocks again, you know, based because we bottled it and sold it, and then they push it up again for another phase. And I believe right now we're going through a phase 3, which is this phase here. It looks like it. You know, we're just going sideways, so you get a lot of chop, a lot of chop, a lot of chop, and you can see the volume spikes. Volume spike there, volume spike there, volume spike there, and that's where the big, you know, that's not retail traders. That's main. That is the smart money selling their stocks, big red spikes. Look at these, the red's bigger than the green. So you can see the bigger smart money selling off all of their discount stock. And then I think eventually we're going to see something like this. It's going to start coming back down again. You know, how far it comes down to, I don't know. You know, no one knows. But we've got some levels here. You can see quite clearly that daily level was 5,500. And we've got this level here. There's this zone around here as well. You know, these could be considered discount areas. So I think that's probably eventually we're going to end up back down there, but when that happens, I don't know. So we can only play what we can see on the charts right now. So, and that's why I think I'm struggling at the moment. You know, when it's doing this, it's quite easy. You just find a long, you can generally just make money. But when it's chopping sideways, it makes it much harder. Because look at these days, they're just ranging up, ranging down with no follow through. Let's go back to the hourly and get some levels of QQQ. Apologise, I just went off on a tangent. But it's good to know this information. It's good to have this in the back of your mind as well when you're trading. And that's why I've kind of been managing my risk a lot more recently, reducing my risk right down. Like yesterday, I was playing quarter risk, and that's why I only lost 1 hour in total, because I think I had 3, maybe 4 losing trades. That's over trading for me as well. But I'd only down about 1.5 hour, 1 hour. I can't quite remember exactly. QQQ again, is putting in this potential head and shoulders pattern, and we've got the neckline just there. We can keep an eye on break and retest a pre-market low into this area, 536.90, big area of confluence, and it's a 15-minute area of demand. And also we've got the 50 moving average catching up as well. And also I like all this, we've got the point of control, we've got a volume shelf in that area as well. We're just a little bit above it right now, so we can keep an eye on this for a potential bounce. Oil. Okay, you can see the market phases here. You know, this is phase 1, phase 2, short phase 3. You know, it doesn't matter what time zone, you can be looking at the hourly, the minute, the 10-second, the market just goes in the same phases. And then potentially, is this, now you've got to ask these questions, is this phase 4? And then that's phase 4. Is this back to phase 1 again, where we're going sideways, and then we're looking for a breakout? It's basically Wyckoff's accumulation and I've just gone brain dead. Accumulation and distribution. So distribution up here, accumulation down here, or redistribution, because we could just see it just redistributing, and then we come back down and we just realise that's a redistribution. Like this could be a reaccumulation, and then we put in another move back up. So levels for oil. To change this trend, or change this market structure, we do need to break out over this pivot. So we can watch this area for rejection, 73.50, 73.62, rejection, and finally a break and retest. We do have this area of supply just there, 74.50, so keep an eye on that. Otherwise, we can watch for a bounce. So break and retest a pre-market high, I like. And then the bounce area, it's got to be around this region here, big area of confluence, bottoms of these pivots, tops of pivots here, tops of these pivots, tops of these pivots. So watch for yesterday's high at 71.88 for the bounce. It's the only two plays I like today. Okay, gold. Again, we've had this massive uptrend, and again, are we seeing what we just talked about? Big uptrend, and now is this our sideways phase? Oh, I think I know why my mouse is not working. When I'm recording several times, I have a couple of screens recording. But anyway, we've got our rejection area. I do quite like this area here. If we come back up into that area for the rejection, it'll be a double top. If we zoom in, you might be able to make out something which I like. So are we looking at a left shoulder, a head, and then are we going to be waiting to put in a right shoulder, and then a break and retest short to change that move down, and that's our neckline here somewhere. So let's keep an eye on pre-market low, 29.50, 29.48, break and retest short, pretty much where we are right now. Otherwise, break and retest a pre-market high, we get over the previous pivots as well. We've got this area here. I like the fact, let's just see where we are. I do like the fact that we've taken out all these topping tails in that move on Wednesday, yesterday. Was that today? Okay, in the pre-market, all these topping tails have been taken out, and that's potentially where there's potential orders sitting. And you can see we have rejected that area, so it is an area of liquidity. But let's see what happens when we get back up there again. Either we're going to reject it, or we're going to break through and then continue it up. And then obviously we've got this bounce area. Look at this for a beautiful bounce area. Came in, came out. So we came in, was that on the 16th? Came back out, and then we retested it. Look at that, beautiful. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And then we put in this pattern where we're narrowing down. We had a fake breakdown and then big move up. So and this is where you've got to not be afraid to re-enter if you get stopped out. Unless you put your stop there, you would have been okay. But had you just got stopped out and then flicked to the next screen, you would have missed the fact that this move would have worked. Break, a retest of these pivots, pretty much close. So I know it's a line I've got drawn, but it's a zone we're looking at. We've retested several times here as well. Look at those pivots there, and that's a great move up. So let's keep an eye on a break and retest of pre-market low into yesterday's low, and then break and retest of that back down into this region. Watch for a bounce down at 2900, and then if we break over pre-market high, let's watch for a break and retest. Notice even if we do have this pivot here, which potentially could be a hiccup, but we do have lack of volume, so we know there's not many orders were there last time. RTY, we've got 4 minutes before the market opens. RTY is just going sideways, and again we've had this move down. We just need to break out of this area, so there's nothing really to do until we can get out of this area. We can watch this region 2340 for a rejection. We've been there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 odd times, and then we've got a few bounce areas. We've got this area of confidence 2254, and we've got the bottoms of these pivots here. Notice the volume declines down in this area, so this is a more likely bounce point because of the point of control above, but we just can't break down. We tried to break down 10th of January, and we soon came back out, retested and put in that big move up. So let's keep an eye on this area for a bounce as well. And then we've got YM. See, I do like this. So what are we seeing? Well, it's a tricky one because we've got this lower. We've got this lower high here, but we do also have this pattern forming. So we've got uptrend, and then we're setting the extremities of this wedge. As you can see, we're narrowing in. At some point we're going to break this wedge. Because of the previous uptrend of this year, since the start of the year, we got to favour the break and retest long. So 44,800 break and retest, keep an eye on that. But we've not, if we are below that previous, I think that's all-time highs. So just keep an eye on a break and retest down below this pattern as well. So yesterday's low could be the break of that pattern, and then yesterday's, and then if we break out over 44,800, 875, which was the Friday's high, we can see the breaking of that pattern there as well. But today, let's keep an eye on a break and retest a pre-market high into this area. Just be wary that it could be a potential rejection area if everyone else is seeing the same pattern, including the markets. And then if we get back down to this 44,200 area, 4400, we can watch for a bounce. And then finally, Bitcoin. Okay, so I added to my Bitcoin today down here. I was waiting for it to get to 92, but because I missed it here, so I added anyway, so that's doing okay. We need to, let's just put a straight line. We need to break this area here. We're not far. Break and retest pre-market high I do quite like, but we need to see a big breakout and a big pullback, a bit like this kind of breakout and pullback we've seen here. So we've got this area here, 9,800, 100,000 is our bogey area. We tried to break out through there. We did try it on the 7th and rejected it. We tried it again, didn't get anywhere near it. So let's keep an eye on break and retest of pre-market high. I do quite like that, although we are on the trailing down on this downward trailing 200 moving average, but we are above the 50, which is good. I like to think we're above the 50, then we've got institutional support and we might see some pushes up, but we need to get above the 200 as well. If we get above both, then even better. And if the 50 gets above the 200, then we can be back into our looking for new highs again. Like when the 50 dropped below here, 50 dropped below and then we lost institutional support. So today I'll be watching for a bounce at yesterday's low area, 92. Still keep an eye on 92 for the bounce, but it's a rough, it's not a area on a line, it's just this rough area. You can see a big area of confidence, tops of pivots there, bottoms of pivots, and it's the bottom end of this value volume profile. It's the value part of the volume profile. So just watch for a bounce in this region, otherwise let's wait, hopefully see it break this trend line and push out. And that's it, market's open, so trade safe. Let's just quickly flick back to ES and see what it's done. I don't think it's done much in the last few minutes. So we're coming into this zone. I prefer if we get down into the 61.23. I'll be watching that area for a bounce. This is the area I really want to take a trade in between here down to yesterday's low. Could keep an eye on pre-market low, break and retest short, but it's in that area of supply of demand right now, makes it harder to try and find a short there. But that's a high risk short if you take that. Otherwise, watching for a bounce. And if we do lose this yesterday's low, and if we lose this area of demand, notice the lack of volume. Lack of volume over here. So there's not a great deal of volume to stop it from coming back down into this region here, which is 6100, and that's where the 200 moving average is as well. So if we could potentially watch for it to break down into this region and look for a bounce around this area. Okay, that's me done. I'm going to be watching it through my NINJATRADER platform. Watching that bouncing down there. So I will be back tomorrow, 9 AM Eastern time. So in the meantime, have a good day, trade safe and manage your risk. And I will see you tomorrow.